iAccess Radio, the future of radio and podcast. No limit to what we do.
iAccess Radio, WIAX, the future of radio and podcast. No limit to what we do.
Phoenix, soul, clarity and connection through conversation. Phoenix, soul, clarity and connection through conversation.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Phoenix Soul. This is Yaz HURSTON, and you just joined us. Phoenix Soul, clarity and connection through conversation. It's such a pleasure to be with you tonight. And you're listening to us on iAccess Radio, as you all know, the future of radio and podcasts. There is no limit to what we do. Incredible station with incredible shows and incredible hosts. But thank you, because you could have done anything. You could have been anywhere, but you decided to spend the time with me tonight on Phoenix Soul. Just remember, if you want to call us, feel free to do so at 347-708-0216. I am Yaz HURSTON. And so what's been going on, everybody? What's been going on? I've been, as you all know, and been watching, if you haven't, if you didn't know, I've been on what you call tour, right? And this is my football season tour, right? So every weekend I'm at a different game, a game at football and Division I sports, specifically supporting Oregon Ducks. My son plays for that team. But on the other side, supporting my other son, my oldest, my firstborn, just trying to make sure that we support his music life. As you know, he's the producer of my oncoming show promo. That's him doing that. And so as we continue to do what we do as parents, specifically me as a mom, balancing it out, I incredibly enjoy this time where I can spend with you all to just talk about stuff. While we're in the war, while we're in the middle of certain crisis in our society, in the middle of a war, in the middle of mass shootings, in the midst of climate change. And speak about climate change, I was in Salt Lake City. I don't know why I thought it was going to be hot, but it was extremely cold there this weekend. But in the middle of climate change, we still have to bring on the reality and bring on joyful and empowering and inspiring stories, right? So today we're going to do just that. I am pleased to introduce to you somebody who is a courageous leader, who is a heroine in her own right, and she epitomizes the word when you say brave, right? I want to say that. She is a mother. She also is a podcaster as well. She has an incredible show, 2 Band-Aids and the Truth, and One Truth. And she's a vocal artist, a vocalist. And more important, she's my friend / sister. It's always good to bring people on the show, not because they're friends, but because they are making a difference. Trust me, I got a lot of people that I know, and everybody does does not make the show. And so I just felt that the time was right to bring her on um, for a couple of reasons. One, because she's just dope like that. But number two, and she's a survivor. And being a survivor of breast cancer, in light of the other challenges that she has had, and we can bring that up. This is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It might be the last few days, but we didn't end it. We got through and made sure we had an interview about it. So, with that being said, please welcome Michele Jenkins.
You better watch that. You better watch that. You better watch that. You better watch that, girl.
Yo, you better watch that, girl.
Hey.
I'm like jamming over here.
What's up, Michele?
What's up, Yasmin?
What's going on?
Oh, you know.
I see you rocking your VSU shirt.
You know what? And that's why I messed with you. That's why. And that, right. Of course, I had to represent.
Of course.
Absolutely. It's been a long time since I graduated, but you know, it's still all good.
Look, you did it. You made it.
And I have a legacy adjacent. My niece graduated there with her undergrad and also her master's degree recently.
Okay.
So I am very happy about that.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So, Michele, we have known each other for a long time. And
when you can sit back and eat a gummy, you know it's
well, not that gummy. All right, everybody, not that gummy.
I'm talking about actual candy. See,
that's what I'm saying.
I was going that way, and I'm just talking about fruit snacks.
Right, but you can't say that these days. When you hear gummy, it's like
Right.
So fruit snack. Thank you.
Fruit snack.
Yeah, like we have known each other.
Correct.
What you say?
Politically correct. Fruit
Politically
snack.
correct. All right. So I'm going to talk about a couple of things here today. I mean, we've always talked about an opportunity to kind of like, do a show together. And so this is going to be kind of like an improv type thing, ladies and gentlemen. However, there are some topics that we definitely want to cover. And, let's just get it out the way and discuss this right now. So the main thing right now, which everybody seems to want to know, how does somebody from Harlem and somebody from Brooklyn become best friends?
Right. Because deep down inside, I feel like I'm from Harlem.
And deep down inside, I feel like I'm a visitor of Brooklyn.
Right.
Brooklyn people are not letting me feel like I'm a Brooklyn.
Harlem inside.
I love Brooklyn. I love Brooklyn. I love the peeps in Brooklyn. I love all of that. And Harlem loves you, Michele. And
listen, that's a second home. There's a lot of memories, especially with us. There's a lot of memories. And so I feel fortunate to say that I remember certain things that like mainly residents know about, like spots, not the tourist spots, but real spots where people used to go get something to eat, or the real spots that people used to go and hang out at. Being born in the 70s and growing up in the 80s and, and being an adult in the 80s and 90s, I feel fortunate because New York, I got to be a part of a New York that so many of the youngsters now won't ever get to see. And that's kind of sad.
Yeah, it's interesting how we hear the past generation, our children, they relish over how they grow up now. And you be like, bruh, you don't know what you miss, growing up. Or you think you had it rough now, but what? Right. So
and it really created resiliency in our generation, creativity in our generation, because this, the generations now have to realize that most of the things that they're watching, the content that they're watching, the dialogue and all of that, it is coming from us. These Family Guys, these, the BET Awards. I mean, this is from our generation. The music that they're still sampling and listening to, we started doing that way before. So it's, you know, the stuff that's being recycled, it's really cool to see, but it's also the familiarity that they don't get to really appreciate the way that I think somebody like myself or yourself can. You know what I'm saying? So it's dope to see what they're doing with some of the things that you know was created back then, but we really get to appreciate it because we know that it started from 60s, the 50s, and we sampled it.
Yeah.
And now they're sampling our sample.
It's ridiculous. Well, I think I remember growing up and like they'd play, like somebody would play like a song that was probably in the 60s or the 70s. And then all of a sudden, like our parents would start singing it. And so this actually happened a couple of weeks ago. It was a group of us in the car along with a youngster, and everybody had to be like in their 50s and 60s.
Mhm.
And somebody put like a Jodeci song on, and we just all started singing it like, I was like, and everybody's like, they was like, you know this song too? Everybody was like, yeah, we know the song. Everybody know the song. Like they was like, oh snap, you know. But at that
You were
point,
probably made to this song.
boy, do I know this song, you know. But
Right.
so just the fact that life has provided us with many opportunities and many memories. We also have new um, reasons of continuing to live and continuing to appreciate life. And I would be uh, so remiss if I didn't say that we do not take our days for granted. I know I don't, and I knew you, and I know you don't. But you've had a certain reason why you haven't been taking it for granted. You've had health challenges, I would say, for quite some time, and every time they hit you, you just punch it right back in the face. I mean, like clobber it up, and the level of I guess persistence and patience that you have, the level of research that you've done has been incredible. That you've and not only educated yourself, but you've educated all of us around you to all the issues.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, no doubt. So I always start that off with first of all complimenting you on that, but I would like you to share. Look, you have been through a number of ailments and been able to push through. You have been diagnosed with lupus. You've been living with lupus for quite some time. I think probably since the 80s and 90s, right? And
I got officially diagnosed in the 2000s after, but I probably always had it. But I think being at ground zero kind of pushed that forward. And it really started, I got officially diagnosed in around 2005.
oh, I felt like you had it before that, but that sounds right though. I mean, that sounds right.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like we talked about there was something happening, and then it was more evident when you got diagnosed.
Mm-hmm.
That, and so, what does that mean to have lupus?
Well, lupus, I was diagnosed with systemic lupus, SLE, and that means that lupus is an autoimmune disease.
Mhm.
There is no cure for it, and lupus tends to attack major organs. My diagnosis happens to attack my kidneys. So because of that, I also have been diagnosed with chronic kidney disease, stage 3. And lupus also attacks your joints. So I also was diagnosed with arthritis in my knees.
Mhm.
So it's a progressive kind of disease that it can go into remission with medication. There's all kinds of treatments that can be given orally. There is even treatment, type of chemotherapy treatment that can be given to treat lupus. You're monitored by a rheumatologist, and it's something that has gotten I believe, more manageable for people nowadays. There's a lot more research, a lot more funding, and even to the extent of me, more recently, I had spoke to a doctor. They were actually running what you call it, and that's something that comes along with it, lupus brain. So loopy, you get a little loopy. Sometimes you can't pull together your sentences. But there was a research being done for African American men that were down at ground zero because they found that there was a higher percentage of them developing lupus. Lupus is usually a female uh, geared disease.
Mm-hmm.
So they're finding that more men are starting to develop lupus. So they're doing research now with that group of men, and mainly men that have been working at that had worked at ground zero.
So how long were you at ground zero?
I was there for over a year. I went. It happened on September 11th. I was in the area September 12th. I was, and on the day that it happened, I was not more than maybe 20 blocks away.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually on my way to the buildings when it occurred. And when I turned the corner, and I was quite far from the buildings, but I can see them off in the distance. And when I saw the building fall and saw the cloud of smoke rushing down the block, and you can hear people screaming and running down the block, we were told to pack up and go back to the garage because I worked as a field tech for Verizon, and I'm still a field tech. And we were sent the very next day to start trying to reestablish service in that area. So I was there from September 12th up until the end of October, the beginning of November of the following year.
Wow. So you had no idea that would have an impact, of course, right?
You know, yes, like, no, because, at the time you're in work mode, at the time you're in help mode, at the time you're in, I want to make a difference mode. You're not really thinking about the long-term ramifications. There was things that occurred during the chaos of it all, where at times I didn't even have PPE gear. And when I did have PPE gear, I didn't always have the cartridges to change and things like that. So it's one of those things where you don't really think about it as it being a problem. You just say, hey, I can straighten out whatever I don't have and, later. Not thinking, hey, you need to change it now because, down the road, something might occur.
Well, I mean, I wasn't I didn't mean to reflect that, your behavior did it. I just wonder at times, when I went out there, you could smell stuff, you knew that there was some stuff in the air, and but a lot of us pushed through it because we did want to make a difference for other people's loved ones. And so thank you, first of all, for doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And, I'm sure that service was needed to be restored along with the other items and other things that were impacted that day.
Yeah.
So how did you, it seemed that you've been able to live and function with lupus. You kind of get to learn your body, and you kind of get to understand what your limitations are. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you discovered that?
Well, anyone who has worked or lived this is before I go into it, but I would like to stop to say anybody that worked, lived, or was in that area, please go and have yourself screened through the World Trade Center Health Program. I mean, it's there for you to have, whether you have health insurance or not. It's there to help you, to screen you, to follow you from moment, from the time you start until whatever. But it's there for you as a free service for you to get checked out from head to toe. They do screenings for your lungs, your blood, your mental health, anything that you need, they will check out. And that's how I got diagnosed. I got diagnosed through the World Trade Center Health Program. It started out with elevated blood pressure. And then that led to me having like nosebleeds more often than normal. And then I had rashes.
That's kidney stuff for sure. Yeah.
Right. The rashes that occur, because usually when people discover that they might have lupus, is that they usually get a rash, which is a butterfly rash across the face. I never got a butterfly rash across my face. My rashes was always on my forearms. And I quickly made, I quickly rationaled that out to me working in manholes. I figured, oh, well, I'm in the manholes. If my arms aren't always covered, it could be something that I got working in the manhole. But it wasn't that. So I went away. I went on vacation. I got a sunburn. I never had a sunburn in my life before. So the next time I went to the World Trade Center Health Program and was getting screened, they usually ask you questions. Have anything changed? Have you experienced anything different? So on and so forth. And I explained the different changes that had occurred in my life for that year. And for some reason, this doctor decided to run more tests just based on that little bit of information. And when he ran more tests, he said that he wanted me to follow up with my primary care physician because he believed that I might have developed lupus. And, to be quite honest, the only time I ever heard the word lupus is when I used to watch All My Children and Marty Saybrook. And so I thought it was a fake disease. I thought it was a soap opera disease. And when I followed up with my general practitioner and they checked my kid, I know.
Right. Really? You thought it was soap opera? Go ahead, Michelle. Go ahead.
I did.
The more you know, right? Rainbow.
So,
right.
So I followed up with other doctors. I was sent to a rheumatologist, and then it was confirmed that I did, in fact, had lupus. And from there, I was offered different kinds of treatment. And because in the beginning, I was offered chemotherapy, and I didn't want it.
Right. So again, how did you understand how to live with it? Understanding your limitations or your not your challenges, but what you could do, because you were still able to manage and live a life
right
throughout that time period.
You listen to yourself. Lupus can cause extreme fatigue. It can cause joint flare-ups, meaning that you get swollen joints, swollen ankles, swollen legs. It makes it sometimes difficult to do activities. It makes it sometimes difficult to do simple things. Some people experience I believe that I've been sort of fortunate in the sense that I know women that experience things far worse, where they lose their ability to walk and things of that nature. And I've had moments like that where I couldn't walk and I couldn't do simple activities, but you change your diet, you change the way that you eat, as far as there's certain
what types of food now what types of food do you have and what do you avoid?
What I learned over the years is to refrain from dairy, to limit my consumption of meat. And, I had limited my consumption of meat over the years. I didn't give it up completely, but scaled it down tremendously. Tomatoes, surprisingly enough,
the acid.
The acid. Very acidic foods is something that a lupus person should stay away from.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning, it was difficult because everything that I actually enjoyed eating, even if it was healthy, there was things that I had to exclude.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very difficult in the beginning. But when you start to swell up and flare up, your body will cause you to make that choice. Listen, do you want to live in pain and have the pleasure of these foods and things of that nature? Or do you want to be able to walk to work? You know, so it was some of the lessons that I learned was the hard way, unfortunately.
How long do flare-ups last?
Flare-ups can last for a couple of days. It could last for a
Wow.
couple of weeks. It could last, as long as your lupus is active, it varies it varies from flare-up to flare-up. So there were days where, I just needed a weekend to kind of, let myself reset. And then there was days where I actually had to call out from work and go on short-term disability because I wasn't able to really function. But it's one of those things where you learn how to navigate by listening to your body. And even if, for myself, I had to make mental notes or even write notes. Okay, I had this week, like a food diary. I had this week, what actually happened? And then you go from there. But like anything, it's a learning process, especially when you have grown in a manner where you eat certain foods and you celebrate certain things and stuff like that. So it was difficult in the beginning.
So you can't have like mac and cheese?
I can have mac and cheese, but what I used to eat when I was younger, yeah, no. First you go, who made that?
First.
Who made that?
Well, we said that anyway. Right.
We start with that. Who made that mac and cheese? Did they use milk?
Besides that, right. Besides that part, who made this, right? But the joy of it, wow. I mean, it's amazing to me, Michelle, is like we grow up, we habitually we eat certain foods, just whoever culture it is, and then all of a sudden, because of an ailment or for health reasons, we're told that stop eating it like that. And first of all, to be able to change your diet, that's commendable, right? To take note of it, pay attention. Okay, when I shouldn't eat that again. But just to be able to make that switch, because so many people cannot do that. That has to take time, and I'm sorry you probably had to try a few times and suffer, but I'm glad you finally got it.
Right.
The hard-headedness, the big kid in you says don't eat it, but the little kid in you is like
just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
It's not gonna hurt.
But it hurts, huh? But it hurts.
Like honestly, it does. It physically hurts. You want to be celebratory. You want to have comfort. When different events happen in your life. I've always been considered myself a foodie. And it's one of those things where food is something that I use to socialize. It's something that I use to comfort myself. Yeah. It's something that I use to be adventurous in. Yeah. And especially I'm a person who loves to travel. So you want to try different things.
Yeah.
And I learned many lessons the hard way. And, it starts out, it tastes good when it's going down, but in the morning I could have had a fifth of vodka. It's like, wow, does it have to hurt like that?
Wow. So,
yeah.
In light of, you mentioned the importance of getting yourself screened. You recently just became a survivor based upon detection of stage 3 cancer. I remember when we first learned about this, you weren't at stage 3. It was just the beginning, but the progress was happening so quickly while you had to make decisions. Tell us about that time when you first learned about it. Take us through that.
Well, Okay, let's see how I start. Okay, so like I said, going through the World Trade Center health programs and being tested yearly with the mammograms through the World Trade Center health program, and also being tested through my GCP. Um, I started getting scares, I would say as early as 2016, where I would have to come back and do another test and come back and do an ultrasound and come back, so I was being jump scared in that manner. And then in 2019, I was told, oh, you have to come back and do more imaging. And I had gotten used to that part of it. So I went back for more imaging, and then I was told that I had to do an ultrasound, and then I was told I had to do a biopsy. And I, went along with that, and it was on the right side. And I went through the biopsy in 2019, and I was told that it was benign. And I said, okay. So now we go through 2020, 2021, 2022. I was told you have to come back for more imaging. I said, okay. You have to come back for an ultrasound. Okay. And now you have to come back for more imaging. I said, okay. And then I was told you need to have a biopsy done because there was no lump that I felt. There was no symptoms that I had. This was everything that was discovered was just through testing. So when I went back to do the biopsy, I was called and told that I had invasive ductal carcinoma. And, of course.
What is that? Right. What is that? Right.
And of course, I'm going to always make a joke. The woman that called me, I couldn't really understand what she was saying. She had a very thick accent. So it wasn't registering what she was saying because I couldn't understand her. And then I had to get a pencil and a piece of paper in order for her to spell out what she was telling me. And when I got to a certain amount of letters, I said, wait a minute. Say what now? What do you think? I said, so you're telling me that I have cancer? Yes. That's what I'm telling you. You have cancer.
What a way to tell the story. What a way to break the news. Playing like 100 questions, 50 questions.
How many vowels? So then the next question was, do you have a surgeon? Excuse me? It's not like I have a reserve sitting in my closet somewhere. No, I don't have why would I have a surgeon?
Right.
What are you saying? And it's like stopping in slow-mo. It's like being in slow motion, and you can hear what's going on around you. You can hear what's going on the phone. You can hear what this person is saying, but it's just not, you're not accepting. I refuse to accept it. I refuse. And the first thing that I said was, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. I don't know what you're talking about. And so.
You told that to the nurse or the lady?
Yes, I said, I rebuke you. I rebuke you. Get behind me, Satan. Because what you talking about?
Take the wheel. Oh my God.
You talking about an Aunt Esther moment.
I hear you.
I said, I rebuke you. I said, who sent you? Who sent you? Because I'm talking to that demon inside you. Who sent you? Because you can't be talking to me. I said, I've already gone to the disease line. I got my disease. I don't need anything else. And
so here you are. You got lupus. You got that under control. And then now all of a sudden in 2022, you get diagnosed with stage 1. Is this, I don't know what the word is, but is it breast cancer?
Yes.
Okay. So stage 1,
right,
breast cancer. That would have just been the best way to just tell me, not, and then give me the official disease after that, But I guess you now are expert in this disease too, right?
Yeah, I've learned quite a bit. And
so what did you learn about this disease?
Well, I was the type of cancer that I was diagnosed with. Okay, so there's markers, right? Estrogen, progesterone, and the HER, the HER2 marker, right? So if those markers are positive, you are eligible for more types of options and treatment, because it says that it's like a house that has locks, right? So when you're positive, there's actual locks on the doors, and these medicines can open those locks, right? But I was diagnosed with what is called triple negative, which means the estrogen, progesterone, and the HER2 are all negative, which means that my house was just like open for anybody to come in and rob me. There were no locks. There are no locks. So it tends to grow at a faster rate. It tends to be a little bit more difficult to treat, in the sense that because there are no locks, it makes the treatment a little bit more streamlined for you, because there's not a lot of options for someone that has triple negative. And then when you add on to it that you've been diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, the way that my situation was treated was a little bit more, I guess, a little bit more tenderly, because now you have to figure out what interacts with the medication that I'm already taking, and how much can your body actually take. So when I got diagnosed, it was stage 1. By the end of the week, I was told that I had stage 3 because it had spread to my lymph nodes. And when I did a PET scan, they saw other low-grade lighting in other parts of my body. So they didn't know if it was inflammation from lupus or if it was cancer. So how you get treated, it's like you kill it all. We don't, whatever that lighting is, we're going to get it, period. So what I learned in all of this is that, one, you have to be an advocate for yourself. So have your questions. First, have a moment for yourself to really take into what's being said to you. And you're entitled to that moment. And then do your due diligence and find out what kind of research has already been done for your particular type of diagnosis, what doctors specialize in your diagnosis. Know the history of your doctor, know what other patients say about them. Learn about who is going to treat you. And it's okay to say no.
What do you mean no? No to what?
If you feel like something doesn't set right with you as far as your treatment plan, if something doesn't set right with you as far as the location of your treatment, and you don't at any point where, if you feel uncomfortable, if you feel like in your gut that something isn't right, then you have the right to take a step back and say, hey, I need to look into this before I commit to going any further. Because sometimes you can be made to feel like you have to do it right now.
Well, I was going to say, Michelle, you gave yourself a week span to kind of like make these decisions. Like, first of all, you had to, I'm sure this was a lot coming at you at one time. And then in 1 week, your diagnosis changed dramatically. What would have happened if you waited like 2-3 weeks? Because, I mean, you weren't diagnosed. It seems like it happens when you find out. More happens when you find out, right?
Absolutely.
The will of accepting it, right? But like, if you would have waited, then it might have been more accelerated, the diagnosis for the treatment. I'm glad that you only took a week in doing that. But in that week time period, you had to do all those things. You had to stop working. You had to do the research. You had to find a place. Did you say no before and then start over? Like, was all that happening?
Well, okay, so
did you feel pressured?
Yeah, I did. In that week, I got a second opinion. So from the time that I got diagnosed, which was December 21st of 2022, to the time that I actually committed and started treatment, which was in February, because I gave myself an opportunity to really look at everything. So it was a month that I did my due diligence, because what I read about was it takes from 4 to 6 weeks for the type of diagnosis that I had to grow more, or to grow, to grow more. So I said, okay, this is the time frame in which I have. I have at least 4 weeks to, like you said, take off from work, to look into doctors, to make a decision, to do the pre-op, the pre-works,
Sure.
the blood work and testing that you do before you start, and things of that nature. So in that 4 weeks, I saw 4 doctors. I had not one, not two, but 3 other opinions on top of the opinion that I had already got. So I saw doctors from different hospitals, saw what their treatment plan was. Then I did the research to the type of plans that they were trying to propose, and to see what the ratio of survival was, and what are the long and short term effects, what are the side effects, and things of that nature. And then I talked to my son, because my son and I live together. So it's, sitting down, and now we're working the rest of it out together as a family, because now you got to talk about finances and what does that look like in the short and long run. When you're not working, you may be getting paid you may be getting paid in the beginning, but down the road, your pay might be cut short. So all of those things are things that you have to discuss. And then when I finally made all my decisions, which was very hard, and it was very hard, because now your personality, your belief system, all of these things start to play a part in the decisions that you make. And it was very difficult for me. I learned a lot about myself and how I make decisions, and what I don't like to do and what I do like to do in making decisions. So
what did you choose? What did you wind up choosing?
I wind up choosing a doctor and a medical oncologist named Hannah Irie at Mount Sinai. I chose her because she pays attention to details in its most minute form. And she does get to know her patient as far as their medical history is concerned. She really digs deep to make sure that she gets to know you as a patient. And she honored the one request. I said, no matter what, please keep me from being admitted into a hospital. Like, that's the one thing I did not want to face, is to have to be admitted to into a hospital at any time. So she did very well with that. She partnered up with my other doctors from my other diagnoses. So she partnered up with my rheumatologist, my PCP, and things of that nature. And I really appreciated that.
So specifically, what did you have to go through as far as your treatment?
My treatment consisted of chemotherapy. I started out with 2 types of chemotherapy that was biweekly. And then it ramped up to a weekly chemotherapy treatment of 2 other types. So the weekly was Taxol and Taxol and Cytoxan, and the biweekly was AC. The first one I cannot pronounce, but the nickname for it is the Red Devil, and there was another type of treatment that went along with that, and then the biweekly one of Taxol and Cytoxan. So, and that went on weekly. So altogether, my chemotherapy lasted 8 months, and it was rough because at a certain point I started receiving blood transfusions. So I I received 9 blood transfusions, 2 platelet transfusions, and a whole lot of white blood cell shots. They're called Neupogen shots in order to promote white blood cells. So it created extreme fatigue and other kind of intestinal issues, and the loss of hair, of course. And your tongue gets black, your fingernails gets black. And doing simple tasks like washing yourself becomes a job. So I had to do mostly everything that was, normal to me sitting down, because it was really hard to breathe at certain points. It created a rapid pulse rate and extremely low BP. So I had a low blood pressure. Over a certain amount of weeks, my blood pressure tanked very low. So it was very difficult for me to breathe. And I opted to get instead of, because there's some people who can go intravenously to receive their chemotherapy. I wasn't a good candidate for that. So I had to have a port put in my chest. And with the port came a blood clot in my jugular vein. So that put me on blood thinners, which I'm still on. And I don't know if I'll ever be able to get off of them because the port is still there.
Okay. So the port is not going to get removed until they just make it clear that you're clear for a while, or
that I'm in total right. So it's still there. It's right there. It's like a button.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you.
I figure.
TMI. But 8 months has gone by. You lost a lot of things. Your hair.
Weight.
You lost weight. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but you look great. Let me just say, and it seems that everyone I know, everybody hair comes back sharp. Like they always come back looking like really chic, and thank God you got a good sized head. You know what I'm saying? Because right.
Thank you, Daddy.
Facts.
Right.
So did you do the whole wig thing, or like did you like rock it? Like what ways?
I tried to do the wig. First of all, my hat is off to women who wear wigs.
Right.
No doubt. No cap.
Kind of hot too. Kind of hot, right? Just
listen. Any woman that wears a wig on a regular basis, I have mad respect. First of all, the wig world, because I had never had to wear a wig.
First, there's a lot of you can choose from a lot of different characters, right?
But it's just the idea of, do you want a 6x6, a 5x4? I was like, what does that even mean? Do you want an enclosure? Do you want a side part? Do you want to? There's still things I know nothing about wigs, right? And I tried to get my nieces to teach me, but it's like the secret society. If you know, you know, and if you don't,
oh well,
you don't, right? It's sort of like if you know the foreign language, hey, welcome.
Sure.
And you don't know, they're looking at you like, I don't have the time to teach you.
Well, there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn.
Going into wig boutiques was just hilarity to me. Because I'm like a fish out of water. I'm looking around like a deer caught in headlights, and everybody knows you don't know anything. And I'm trying to learn, but all these terms that I was being told, I said, can't I just get something to put on my head? I mean, what are we talking about? So I wind up ordering a couple of wigs online, but then you have to know how to put it on.
That is a task.
There's an art to it.
Because nobody wants that. That is such a pet peeve of mine, having that, like, what is that
the
line, right? Or that
when your makeup don't blend.
When the makeup don't blend.
When you're not blend, you have to blend, young lady. You have to blend when you're not blending. Ooh, child.
That's the first thing when you look at, like, what? Right.
Your eyes immediately go to their forehead.
Right. So you did through the wig thing, and then
I tried.
How's your
I
eye?
tried
How
to
was
do
your
the wig
eyelashes
thing.
and eyebrows? Did that lead too?
Yeah. Hair, anywhere you have hair, it was gone. It was like
Anywhere?
born everywhere. You're like a newborn baby. And
Really?
I, for a while I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. I don't have to work so hard. But it's not. I didn't realize
I don't want
how
to know. I don't want to know.
right, but I didn't realize how your eyebrows make
Yeah,
your face, right? So
kind of is a part of it. Right. That kind of shows there's a midpoint happening right here. It's just
you don't look like a mole rat. Like
wow.
I didn't like the way, you know, that's the other thing. Going through this process, um, if you
I
if
love
you're a
yourself.
woman that has struggled with her self-esteem, if you're a
Mhm.
woman that has struggled with how you feel when you look in the mirror,
Mm.
when you go through this, your mind is attacked
Mm.
because you don't feel you you feel like how people are looking at you. Because
Mm.
when I walked outside, I did my best to look my best. You don't want to wear what you're going through, right? You don't want to do
Mhm.
that. So I did my best to put on my wig right and curl it up right and blend. But when I looked at myself, I didn't see me. I didn't see me and I didn't feel like me. And I just saw this person that was like kind of like on death's door. And I said, if I see myself like that, does everybody else see me like that? And you kind of don't want to go outside and you don't want to really bring that energy to other people because it's bad enough that they have to deal with the energy of knowing what you're going through. And then it's
But
like,
that's interesting that you put all that on people, on loved ones, and and you feel in a certain way without, and maybe people don't even feel like that. Did you find that out that folks didn't even feel that way?
yeah, after like the first time I took off the wig,
Hmm.
everybody was like, it's about time you took that off. You don't even look like
We didn't want to say nothing, but it's about time.
it's exactly how it when I saw my brother, he was like, I'm so glad you took that off. He was like, he was like, your head is fine.
Yeah, no, you had a picture where
But
you had like
you
I
don't
don't have that picture. I wish I had it to show, but you had a picture where you were in a bathing suit and you looked fire. You know what I'm talking about, that
thank
picture?
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's like I felt like it took a lot for me to walk outdoors
Mm-hmm.
and go to the beach. Like that was the first time I had went to the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, the when you're going through any kind of illness, I think the battlefield is more in your mind than
Sure,
anything else,
sure.
and how you feel is how your body will respond. So I had to be very mindful of how I thought. And when I felt like things were going in the wrong direction mentally, I had to do things to make sure that I combated that. And my faith really kept me grounded. Staying under the word kept me grounded. Um, and so it became, I always thought that I had a relationship
How
with the
so?
Lord.
How as you see the I was going to ask the
Yeah,
question,
I
but
just
how did the experience affect your faith?
I thought that I had a relationship with the Lord. I thought that, you know, I really thought that, hey, God and I are tight. But you don't realize the testing of your faith is through trials and tribulations. And as you go through your trial and tribulation, it builds character in the Lord as a witness. So it's one of those things where when I thought I knew who God was in my life, I realized that no, I had to cling to him. I had to, like, it's sort of like when your child is walking with you down the street and they feel comfortable until they see a threat, and then they get closer to your leg because they need to know that you're there to protect them. And it was sort of like that. It was just me knowing that in the beginning I was angry because I said, well, why now? 2019 to now, why now? Why now? What's the setup? And my conspiracy theorist mind, I was like, this is all a scam. This is all just to get more funding. This is all. I went there. I was like, this is just to get more funding. Why did they find it in 2019? This is a bullcrap. God, why are you allowing this to happen? Why are you not smiting these enemies?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Why are you not getting them from me on my behalf?
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, you know what, Lord, have your way. Whatever it is that you want me to do in the midst of this trial, I'll do. Whoever you want.
And you did. And so 8 months later, where are we now?
8 months later, I finished chemo in August. I had surgery in September, and I opted to have the lumpectomy rather than the mastectomy because I just felt like being on the table for that many hours, trying to have my breast removed and possibly having reconstructive surgery all at the same time would have been a little too much on my physical self. So I opted for the lumpectomy, and they did the lymph node dissection in which he wound up removing 19 lymph nodes. And then, healing from that, now that I'm healing from that, I'll now start to go through radiation.
And so what does that entail, and how long is that going to be?
Radiation would entail, for me, it would be 5 weeks, 7 days a week for about 20 minutes a day. So they would first prep you by putting etching tattoos in the areas that they would, because they're going to measure you. After they measure you, they will tattoo the areas in which they have to direct the beams. And then I would come in for 25 rounds. And if I could get through that, I would possibly go through 5 booster rounds. So it would be 30 weeks altogether. And I questioned that. Yeah.
Yes, that's about right, a little over 6 months.
Right.
So every day for 20 minutes for 6 months or so.
Right.
And what is that?
Excuse me. I'm sorry, 6 weeks. It would be 6 weeks because it'd be every day, 25 rounds. I'm sorry. So it would be 6 weeks. I apologize. Which would be a month and a half.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's about to say, wow. And so what are the side effects with that?
It would increase my possibility of developing a lymphedema in my right arm, which would be a swelling a lymphedema is a swelling basically in the area that you have it in, and there's no cure for that. You can only use compression sleeves and stuff like that. My right hand is my dominant hand, so I'm a little bit nervous about that. Then the other side effects could be extreme fatigue. And another side effect possibly could be it creating another type of cancer down the road. So,
I mean, I low key, I just believe there is a cure here. I mean, but they just, I don't know, big pharma or something else, I tell you. So let's talk about where you find your strength. You talked about faith. What's the support system like? And do you think and did you have adequate amount of, talk about your team that was around you throughout this time period?
Oh, it's a huge village. I mean, it's a huge village. Mm-hmm. You included. So, I mean.
No, I mean, but it's important, right? To have that.
I really felt like the Lord was leading it to be, in the beginning, for it to just be my son and I, because I think there was things that he had to learn as an adult child, right? He's my child, but he's an adult. Mm-hmm. And I felt like through prayer that it was meant for him to be the primary caregiver. But the team of people, there's always someone there that calls and asks how you're doing, or has a joke for you, or has or who will drop everything just to be by your side because you're scared, or for someone to just take a walk with you, so you can get some sunlight. It's every little moment that I savored with everybody that has come. I feel like what you invest in people's lives comes back to you tenfold.
Yeah.
And I've been very blessed to have various degrees of friendship income. And even the days, because there's many days where you just don't have anything to say, you don't know what to say. And so, the general, how are you? And it's, and I always go like this, I don't know how I'm doing. I just know that I'm doing.
Right. Right.
And I think that people understanding who I was, I didn't realize how many people really understood who I was as a person. And how that created the interaction. And I was very thankful for that, because there wasn't too many people that I had to feel like I had to explain myself to. It's just that they understood. Because when you're going through it, I really didn't have much to say. It was difficult for me to find words, because your mind is constantly going in a direction of, how do I do this day? I just took it day by day.
Yeah. So big shout out to Giselle, your son.
Yeah, Denzel.
And also to your nieces, and to your brother, and to your other family members that stood by and stood close and watch your progress.
Yeah.
Your time in dealing with this. What is the message? I know you talked about early detection and getting tested and how to prepare. But while you were going through this process, what is something you could share with somebody who is about to go through this process themselves? Really the process of chemo and,
Yeah.
during those times, that time when it's that time of day when it's like, it's maybe raining or snowing outside and it's just you and you thinking about, why did I get here? Like those moments, like what could you share?
I would say, take a deep breath and have a moment for yourself. Always take a moment, as many moments as you need for yourself.
Self-care.
And also, when you're going through chemo, I would say don't rely on just the chemotherapy. I would say, do your research, because I'm not a physician. So I want to start off by saying that I'm not a physician. I'm not a holistic doctor. But what worked for me was the support of holistic things. So things like soursop tea, I would have in the morning before I started chemo. I would have a soursop tea with no sweetener. I would have it when I came home. Always stay hydrated. That is very important, to stay hydrated. You have to stay hydrated.
Again, something that we should be doing anyway, right?
Absolutely.
It takes a health problem for us to now be drinking water. You drinking water, it helps you lose weight, it helps you clean out your toxins. Already it helps you do that. But we wasn't doing that. Now all of a sudden, now I gotta drink water.
Expert.
Huh?
When you become sick, you become a damn expert.
Oh yeah, you become an expert. Oh no, what kind of water is that? Is that Poland Spring or is that Dannon? Like what kind of, you know what I mean?
Is that Mountain Spring or Poland Spring? I can't. Why is that not in a glass bottle? Why is that plastic?
No ice, please. Right. You get really specific because you understand, but you have to change automatically. So how does this hydration help with it clearing out the toxins and stuff?
Flushing, yes.
Yes.
But because it's going to be in your system anyway, but you want to make sure you flush your kidneys. You want to make sure that you clean out the liver. You want to make sure you clean out the blood. And these things, you try to eat things that, like as soon as I got diagnosed, I stopped eating meat altogether. I would still eat fish every now and then, but I stopped eating beef and pork straight out. Turkey and chicken came later. I still maintained fish, not shellfish.
Man, no more crab. No more crab. No more crabs.
I didn't eat crabs. I did not eat crabs the whole time since I've been diagnosed, and that was tough.
Word.
That was really because, like I said, right? Because like I said, when you love food,
right. So what you eat now? Like what? A plant? What do you eat?
Salad. I eat a lot
Kale?
of salad.
What do you eat? Kale now? What do you eat?
Word. Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head.
Brussels sprouts? Like what are you eating?
I eat a lot of kale. I eat a lot of green. I try to eat things that are as close to its natural state as possible. I don't eat things
raw.
Right. I don't eat things out of boxes or cans.
Okay.
I don't eat a lot of outside food anymore. I love a good restaurant. But now I have to scrutinize the restaurants that I go to.
Do you juice and all that too?
I do juice. I'm not as diligent as I was, but juicing is very important. Mm-hmm. It's amazing how much you can learn about food, as far as you got the Sabi way, you have electric alkaline, you have there's so many things, and you have to find out what works with you. I even went as far as the blood type way of eating. So I'm A positive, and it's like, an A positive person is not supposed to eat a lot of things. Like when I went through the list of what A positive people can eat, I said, well, I'm supposed to eat like a poor farmer.
Wow. It's interesting because depending on your intake, when inflammation can happen like this, spicy food, right, can like bring it on. So let me answer this. You had to balance that. Your diet, was it complementary also already, being that you had to change your diet with your lupus diagnosed, or how did you combine that?
Well, truth be told, like I said, I had to learn many things the hard way. I still love food. Right. And with that came the penalty. So there was many times where, like, for example, my weight gain was more inflammation and things of that nature than anything else. And
inflammation is no joke.
Before I'm 5'9", and before I got diagnosed with breast cancer, I had ballooned up to over 220 pounds. And that was more weight than I ever had carried on my body, even including pregnancy. So, but what I found out, everything that I was doing to try to lose weight, it wasn't working, because there was still foods that I wasn't willing to just like cut out altogether. So I realized in hindsight, a lot of those foods that I refused to give up was still creating inflammation. So when this happened, I had to really restrict myself. And that may not be the case for everybody, but for myself personally, it had to be a lot of green foods. It had to be a lot of berries. The darker the fruit or vegetable, the better it was for me. And I juiced organic celery a lot, and that also helped a great deal. Soursop tea helped a lot. Black seed and all the
yeah.
Yuck.
I'm not the village for the supportive food friend. I'm the supportive friend for the other stuff. I'm not that one. I would do it for you, but only thing I can say that is yuck. How could you even? What is celery? What? It's like celery has no taste already.
No, it does.
It does.
Once you start clean, once you clean your wow, not me.
Wow. Tell me about how great celery is. Go ahead.
Tell me, bugs.
Ladies and gentlemen, you got to understand that we grew up as foodies together. There's like this is my tailgate road dog. We have cooked meals and stuff like that. Totally missing you on that. But if you come to the next tailgate talking about here's some celery juice, you can't come back. I'll tell you that. Just come to the game, B. Just come to the game.
I'm losing my invite to the cookout.
Right, no more cookouts. You can just come, but we know you're not. Hey,
you'll be like crudité. What?
We ain't there yet. We ain't there yet.
Oh Lord have mercy. Oh, I'm dying on this. You know, and even so, I had to cut out alcohol. I had to cut out. It was a
Good.
lot. It was a.
Good.
And you're talking about over 40 years of you know, kind of, you know, you take things in moderation. It's but then when you have to dismiss it all, it's like, oh, why am I being punished? It felt like punishment at first.
Yeah, but now
really
you just
did.
live. I mean, you learn to live accordingly, right?
Right. Doing a detox fast is one thing, and that's something that I always try to do seasonally. You know, you detox your body, you flush out the things, you know, in order to make room for the garbage that you want to put it in.
Correct. However,
However,
a total behavior modification, that's incredible. First of all, that's great. Congratulations. I don't care if it was life threatening. I don't care if I'm scared the mess out of you. But the fact that you was able to do it, strong J to you for that.
right.
You know what I mean? What you drinking right there? Is that celery juice? What's that?
This is sour sap tea.
Okay. Excuse me. And sour sap tea. Look, we all learned all that stuff during COVID. Like we all know, like, yo, you have turmeric in that? I mean, like we all learned like all those different things. Like everybody got like they became experts in immune boosting. You know what I mean? So like we know what this stuff does, but we never thought we had to be drinking it and eating it like every day now. Like
right. COVID's over. Do we still have it?
What are you doing? Nah, but
it's true though. We did all become experts. It's like, oh, you must breathe in the citrus, boil your pineapple husk and mix it in with mint. And it's like, yeah, right. How long is that gonna last?
Yo, we was doing it though. We was doing it at least for like 3. We had our regimen before you walk in, but right. So like this was
we was wiping off our shoes.
But you were kind of prepared for it. That's my point. Yep. You were kind of prepared for this.
Absolutely.
So 2019, okay, they didn't get the diagnosis yet, but then 2020, you had to have a little bit of temporary preparation to get to that point to where you are now.
Absolutely.
So there's always a reason for everything, right?
I do agree with you on that 110%. I think that everything happens for a reason, right? So it's like we may not understand why it's happening at that moment, but in hindsight, you're like, oh, that just prepared me for this. And you know, the Bible talks about that God takes you from glory to glory, that the things that are happening now is only to prepare you for what might happen later. And it's, you know, I'm very grateful for it because it's one of those things where all of those things that we learned during COVID about protecting yourself, protecting your lungs, protecting your area, you know, all of those things played a part when I started chemo because I had to protect my area. I had to protect my immune system. And, you know, wearing a mask was just like secondhand nature. You know, you wear it and you keep on moving. Even though people are looking at you like, no, COVID's over.
Right. But still, like we should be doing a lot of stuff we should be doing anyway, you know? Certain cultures was doing it and we looking at them like, oh, but
they're just separatists.
Right. This is extreme, don't you think? Right. So in your spare time, right? Because I would imagine you didn't have the same schedule that you had. What did you do for fun? What did you do to make you like entertained? Did you watch certain TV shows? Did you?
Oh yeah,
what was your favorite shows when you were during your time?
Chemo? Oh man, you know what? I caught up with things that I hadn't had the opportunity to see. So you know, things like Bridgerton. I rewatched what I did see, and then
alas, thou's the greatest show ever, my dear. Alas,
henceforth.
So you saw Bridgerton was fire. Okay, Bridgerton.
Right.
Okay.
And let's see. I watched a lot of documentaries as well. I watched a documentary about the medical field.
Of
You know,
course.
when you go down those rabbit holes, it's like,
Well,
oh
all of
my,
that's on TV now. Everything is about cancer. Everything is about that when you're watching it. But that's true because you was watching a lot of documentaries. Did you would start telling me like simple, real facts about people? I was like, okay, thanks.
right. Turn the TV off.
Hey, did you know that the guy who ran McDonald's? I was like, okay, thanks.
The
But you was
Founder is
watching-
a good movie. Like, if nobody's ever seen The Founder, they should watch The Founder. Even though The Founder made me hate McDonald's after that. Like, I didn't want to,
Right.
I did like to partake in McDonald's in the past, and a little something here and there. Watch
Yeah.
The Founder, and I was like, how dare he just steal from those two unassuming men that didn't know any better?
Okay,
Just
so
gave a,
you did get a chance to watch TV, and you were looking. It gave you something to look forward to. I mean, that's a
oh yeah.
yeah.
And every ghost power and all of that, every one of them. Ghost, power 1, power 2, power 1530.
Right. That's hilarious for sure.
You gotta mix, you gotta have a mixed bag of hood
You do.
and
No doubt. No doubt.
and facts.
You got to have refined, and you always got to throw some Disney in there somewhere as well. You got to have the Disney. So you're right. You got to have the hood. You got to have the smart stuff.
Mandalorian, yes. You gotta have, again, the era that we're well-rounded people.
Yeah.
And with the high school that we went to, you're watching your friends and you watching
Sure. Shout out to
all these people on
LaGuardia.
TV. Right. Shout out to
High
LaGuardia.
School. Yeah, shout out to LaGuardia High School, class of '89 in effect.
Hey. Okay, no.
So like, how does it work like with a love life? Did you have that? Did you cut everybody off because this was more than them? It was not about them. It was about you, or did you like find love? Like how's that work? But that's a good that's a good show. I know you. So was it like? Was it dramatic? Like, I don't think we can do this right now, or was somebody heartbroken?
I tried that. It didn't work. I'm still seeing the same person that I've been seeing, but you don't have an appetite for that togetherness. I didn't have that appetite for, please take care of me, be up underneath someone. It was more like, I'll be in my domicile and I'll see you when I see you. I really just needed the time and space to think about things, because for myself personally, when you get a diagnosis and you start going through that rabbit hole of what that looks like before you start, you have to really make the conscious choice to say, I want to live. You have to say that to yourself. I want to live, and when you say that, you have to have your actions follow that. So loving someone, loving your partner and things like that, you need them to understand what you need as a person. And if they're not capable of that, then you have to create the distance that you need for yourself and be okay with that. So my partner, he tries very much to try to be that person, but there's some people that just not naturally are not caregivers. They're just not that. So, in walking someone else through, and
you don't have time to
them,
educate. You don't have no time to educate somebody either, right?
and trying to educate someone how to take care, to supply you with what you need. You come to a place where you just go,
this
right here, this
right
here.
I get it. No, I get it. I'm glad you were able to have some options of love, because love is received in so many ways. And so glad you weren't alone,
No.
and because there's people that go through this alone. But I think you really said something critical. You said you had to decide that you wanted to live. You had to make an affirmation that you wanted to live. And then once you did that, you know what your end goal was, right?
Absolutely.
So in your take of where you are now, you've reached a certain part of your journey, because you just said you got to do radiation.
Right.
So where you are right now, looking back, like what is your energy today from where you were 8 months ago?
I was getting ready to say, you know me, but they don't,
They don't know. They don't know you. I know you, but they don't know you.
Right.
They interview.
Right. I was getting ready to say, well, you know what? I'm talking to you. But what I say moving forward is that I'm very thankful for this trial. I'm extremely thankful for this trial. And even with the thoughts that sometimes I'm plagued with, with the future of things. Right now, I can say that I look forward to this life that I'm living. And I think that if I have never appreciated the experiences that I've been afforded up to this point, with the people that I have been blessed with to this point, God will never have to ever, ever, ever question that for me, because there's so many things to plan and to go, so many more goals to plan and to do. And I think that I'm more excited about the prospect of what will be birthed out of this experience more than anything else, because I believe that I'm ready now. I didn't really understand that, being ready. I think I'm ready for whatever opportunities come my way.
Sure.
I really believe that I'm ready for that. I'm ready to help more people walk through this. I'm ready for different kinds of things to come my way. I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful to you. You don't understand the blueprint that you set out for me long ago, from when we were teenagers. You set out this blueprint of amazingness.
Mm.
And I have a lot of gratitude that I was blessed to have certain women cross my path. I know some very strong women, and I feed off of that energy. So, and I'm ready to give that energy out.
Good, because you used to get in trouble. Good, because you used to get in trouble all the damn time. I didn't think it hurt.
Girl,
You used to get us in trouble all the time growing up. I was like, my mom used to be like, oh, that Michelle, love second child, second daughter, Michelle. Yeah, facts. But if I had to choose it all over again, I wouldn't want to get in trouble with anybody but you. If I had to choose it all over again.
Absolutely. We could write a book.
Right. So, Michelle, I mean, in closing, I think that you, this is a message from our team. I don't know if you want to read it. But this is a message to you. You can take that with you.
Okay.
Everybody you are incredible, and we pray for your healing. And we also pray that you stay in faith and know that you're not alone in doing this. But we also want to continue to see the other things that you're doing, continuing your missionary work and your podcast. Look, there's so many people that function with this, and you've been able to do that. And so we look forward to seeing what's next on your agenda, as far as giving back, as far as doing other activities so we can support those as well.
Absolutely. I really thank you for this opportunity to share with you and just to hang out with you. You are
Absolutely. No, we got to chop it up more. Come
life.
back anytime. Come back anytime. Always. I could even use a co-host. Come back anytime. And your story is incredible because it continues to be told and it continues to grow, right? But just again, for those people who may be going through this process, may not be thinking about getting tested, what message do you have for these folks?
You know, it's very important. There's an old saying that goes, it's better to have and not need than need and not have.
Mm-hmm.
And there's too many opportunities and too many hospitals and places that really focus on women's health for you not to take advantage of the opportunity to have yourself checked out.
Mm-hmm.
Please have yourself tested, do your mammogram, do your ultrasound if you need to do an ultrasound. Understand, do your due diligence to take care of your health.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it's the one body that God gives you.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the responsibility to take care of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to get yourself tested. And understand that there's a lot of support out there. There's so many different venues of support to help you and walk you through it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Well, Michelle, I want to say thank you for coming on the show. We look forward to updating everybody on your progress if you let us share. And on to the next one. On to the next thing, right?
On to the next thing. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so
Thanks
much.
again, and we'll circle back.
Alrighty then.
Michelle Jenkins, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming on Phoenix Soul Podcast.
Thank you.
So if you just joined us or you just tuning in, we just interviewed an incredible warrior, Michelle Jenkins, who is a survivor of breast cancer, and she told her story. But one thing we did understand, I don't have that information, but we'll share it on our website or on our Instagram, just getting checked out and where you can find out, especially number one, if you feel ailments. Number two, if you were involved in something such as or you're around something such as the 9/11 World Trade Center. But more importantly, just to get checked out, right? Come on, like timely enough. It's important that we do our daily checkups. Go see your doctor and understand what your needs are as your body, and learn your body. Learn when your body's telling you something. Many times your body tells you before anybody else tells you, and you should pay attention to it and act accordingly. That being said, thank you everybody for watching us. Next week, we're probably going to be in another part. We're going to probably be on the West Coast doing an interview. I got some great people I want to bring on. But thank you for joining me tonight. As always, I appreciate it. And if you want to come on this show, feel free to DM me, Instagram or on Facebook if you're watching us. And then, let me know. And I'm sure we'll find the time and the opportunity to tell your story. Thanks again.